I feel like a lot of my story always comes back to just me talking about compassion fatigue and burnout and recognizing it because it's so important. And it's so important for other vets to hear, like, hey, you might be burned out if you hate a puppy or you hate clients or you hate genuine clients who really need your help. And I think just talking about it is so important because so much of what we do is just attacked on, especially social media in particular. Like, so much of what we do is just attacked and blamed and just spoken negatively of, when what we do is really fucking cool. Like, we have a really cool job.
Hi, guys, and welcome to the House Call Vet Cafe podcast. I'm Dr. Eve Harrison. I'm a full-time integrative concierge house call veterinarian in Los Angeles, and I help other vets to build their unique mobile practices on their terms. This podcast is for and by house call and mobile veterinarians, so it is meant to give our community a platform to connect, to share our stories, to lift each other up, and to support each other. Most of us work solo as lone wolves, right? So for me, it's been really powerful to be able to physically hear the voices of my colleagues from all over the world and to get a chance to feel that we truly are part of a community of very real other human beings who get it. While you may be alone in that little bubble of your own vehicle when you're on the road seeing patients, I welcome you to join our community by tuning into our own podcast when you're on your way to your next house call. Whether you're a super experienced house call vet with 30 years of experience, you're a brand new prospective house call vet just looking to get started, or you're house call curious, there will be something for you in this podcast. Each episode, you will hear interviews from other mobile veterinarians just like yourself who are doing unique and innovative things, vets who are sharing their stories, their struggles and challenges, and you can also look forward to hearing valuable information and perspectives from specialists and experts outside of our micro niche. And finally, if becoming a house call veterinarian is something that you've been thinking about exploring, or you're looking for some extra support getting your own mobile practice to feel more profitable and sustainable for you, check out the information in the show notes about my course and our above and beyond supportive private community for members only, plus our monthly group coaching sessions within the House Call Vet Academy. You can also check out my free public Facebook group, which is also called the House Call Vet Cafe, the same name as this podcast, and which is a warm and cozy community for mobile vets to support each other in professional and personal development, in creative entrepreneurship, and in friendship. So thank you guys for spending time with me today. Let's dive into the episode.
Hey, everyone. We have a super fun guest today. We have Dr. Kate Moore, who grew up in Michigan, but happily relocated to Southern California. Whoop, Southern California. Yeah. After gaining acceptance to Western University of Health Sciences, she graduated in 2015, and since then she has worked with exotics in several GPs while learning acupuncture and laser therapy until she opened her own house call practice in August of 2022. Yay! Along with owning and operating Good Vibes mobile veterinary services, she now also works as the primary veterinarian at the Santa Ana Zoo, where she promises to not steal any of the animals. They will go missing. That is not a realistic promise. I'm just going to tell you, if that were me, I wouldn't ever make a promise of that nature. So mad props for even trying not to steal animals. Despite the workload, she also manages to find time to pursue her hobbies, some of which include sewing, watching football, painting D&D minis. I assume that's Dungeons and Dragons minis. Yes. So yeah. Cool. You're awesome. Kickboxing, going to Disneyland and taking her to rescue chihuahuas to the beach, and tending to her isopods. So welcome, Dr. Moore. What are isopods? The isopods are roly-polies. They're just the fancy name for them. And it's kind of like this weird niche right now. And they have all kinds of different like colors and sizes and spiky ones and little ones and big ones. So I think they're really cute. Like the bugs, like the insect roly-polies, technically they're crustaceans. They're the only true land crustacean, but yeah, like the little ones that roll up into a little ball. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. I did not know. Well, you're such an interesting person. And I've known this about you for a very long time. For those of you that don't know Dr. Moore, she was with me in the House Call Vet Academy. So I got to know her a little bit extra, and it's been a joy. just kind of watching your process and seeing your practice unfold. I've even gotten some referrals from your beautiful practice down in Southern California. I think you're just a little bit south of me. I've referred to you as well. I don't know if any of those came through or not. But in like on the subject of isopods and like chihuahuas and things, like do you have an axolotl too? Like I feel like you might have an axolotl or something.
I wish. No, I have my 2 rescue chihuahuas. My isopods, I don't know if they're really breeding like I want, but I have at least 15 in there. And then I have 3 snakes and a foster mouse who she's never going to be adopted out. So she's just a permanent mouse.
She's a permanent
Yeah.
mouse.
She's
Oh
like
my
a little chunky little black and white spotted cow mouse. And she's so cute. I know when I tell people I have snakes and mice, they're like, well, do they coexist? And so the snakes are upstairs and the mouse is downstairs, but she's kind of near where I can see her if I'm sitting on the couch. And it's like mouse TV is on when she's out and about burrowing and digging and on her wheel. It's like, oh, gotta put paw on so I can watch mouse TV because she's just so cute.
Oh, that's adorable. I know that you are also a squirrel person and you have like some very special squirrel patients. I'm going to ask you about those later on in the call. But in the meantime, I am wearing this acorn necklace in honor of you and your squirrels. It's actually like one of those things that opens up. Hopefully, I can like fix it after I undo it. It's like one of those things that has like an aromatherapy ball in there for anyone who's
Cute.
Wow, oh my god, it smells so good. I forgot, like, how good it smells, like, when I just opened it, I was like, "Oh my god, that's amazing." And then I also, in honor of you and your critters, I have
Are those hedgehogs?
yes, hedgehogs, tree stump earrings that I am wearing for you. And also, thank you, before we started recording this call, Dr. Moore was like, "Is that an acorn around your neck?" And I'm like, "As a matter of fact, it is."
So cute. One of the animals I'm definitely not going to steal from the Santa Ana Zoo is a tenrec. And I don't know if you're familiar with them. They basically look like hedgehogs, except their eyes are like really tiny and kind of like on either side of their head. So it makes them look extra adorable and cute. So he's definitely number 1 on the list of animals that they know if he goes missing.
Yeah, it would be just a little too obvious.
Yes. So the hedgehogs are very appropriate.
It's absolutely hilarious. Okay. So I'm curious, like you do a lot of driving for work, to your house calls, to the zoo, to Disneyland. Maybe we'll meet up in Disneyland sometime. I feel like
Yeah.
that's on the horizon because like it's not that far from me either. While you're doing all this driving, is there a snack that you eat in the car that you tend to enjoy?
So I'm a little crazy in that there's no eating allowed in my car ever. Like it's it sounded so silly to me growing up. My dad never let us eat in the car as kids, and we would make road trips from like the bottom of Michigan up to like the top where we had a cabin, and we could never have snacks. We could have a drink with a cap, and that was like kind of pushing the boundaries. Um, I thought it was so dumb. And then when I got older and people ate in my car, I was like, "What are you doing? You don't eat in the car. Like how I would never." So there's no snacking in the car. And especially since I got my new car, there's like barely drinks allowed.
Okay. Is it like a special kind of car? I feel like I don't know what your new car is.
I'm very excited about it.
Let's hear it.
It's the new Volkswagen bus. It's so cute. So it's all white inside, not all white, but it's primarily white inside. So I'm extra cautious now. So like even on myself, I'm like, ooh, should I bring this drink in the car? I guess I need it.
That's absolutely fascinating. I don't think I've spoken to anyone so far on the podcast who doesn't eat in the car. So this is a first and I love it. And yeah, I don't blame you if it's like white on the inside, like holy shit, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And then like I mean being a veterinarian, like you come into the car covered in like fur or like feces, like whatever urine, whatever you coming back into the car covered in, right? Like
Yeah.
does that ever happen? Have you ever been like, "Oh god, damn it." Like
In the new car, yes. Sometimes I'll even like change my shoes. If I've like walked out in a field somewhere, I'm like, don't want this on the mats. I'll change my shoes. But lint rollers are a priority. And then if it's really bad, there's always like a blanket in there so I can put the blanket down. It's a little extra. And when I used to work at a clinic and we would like myself and the techs would go out to lunch and we would decide who's driving. Everybody would get super self-conscious when I'd get into their car because they saw my car. So they were always like, okay, don't mind the mess. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, it's your car. You're welcome to do whatever you want. I just grew up where, like, if you treat your car well, it'll treat you well. So cars are just like, they're a very important thing in my family. So we keep all our cars like super clean.
That's amazing. I mean, it makes sense. And you're now a mobile vet. So, of course, the vehicle is important, even more
Yeah.
than it would have been otherwise with your
Mhm.
upbringing and things like that. So cool.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious to hear a little bit about your journey. How did you end up becoming a house call vet? What was that process like? And I would love to hear any details that got you there. Maybe like what was going on when you decided to start and how the process kind of went along.
Yeah. And I'm sure you hear this a lot because you have like taught or assisted or helped or encouraged and all of the above so many different vets to become a house call vet. And you are definitely like a huge part of the process. But, for me, people ask that a lot, like, how did you get here? And depending on who's talking, it's like I can give them the like nice, polite version, which is just I was tired. But
Mhm.
honestly, there was a moment in my career where I was working at a small animal practice and I was just miserable. I just wasn't me anymore. Like I didn't go home and like recognize myself. And I had an appointment with a really amazing client, super nice. She had just gotten a brand new puppy. The puppy was super cute. And I was just standing there in the appointment, like going through the motions of doing her exam and like just not hearing anything she said. It was going in one ear and out the other. And I was just looking at this puppy. And this is going to sound really awful, but I just thought, I hate this puppy. Like, I, I
Yes.
hated that puppy so much. And why? Like, I love puppies. Like, who doesn't love puppies?
Of
We
course.
all go into this field loving puppies. And the thought was just like, I hate this puppy. And I was like, this isn't me. This isn't right. This is so not okay. And I've got to do something because I have to get back to loving puppies. So I went home that day and I used to live in like a duplex. And so my upstairs neighbor and I shared a backyard. And I got home and we were sitting in the backyard just talking. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I worked so hard to get here. And the realization probably hit like 2021. So this was 4 years ago. And it's like, I had been a vet for, do some quick math, five, like 7 years. And it's like, most of us, this was our dream job. And so to get 7 years into a dream job and hate it and hate puppies was like red flags everywhere.
Yeah.
So we just had a long chat in the backyard, maybe over one or two extra shots of Jameson. And I felt like I'm done. Like, that's just it. And I had loved the idea of house calls, but didn't really know how to go about it as most of us don't. And, I don't even remember how I came across your house call academy, but I was like, this is it. This is my sign. And I was working so much, but I would come home every day and just like do a little more of the classes. And like, it would just like give me that like little bit of inspiration to be like, yes, like that's one more thing I can do. And like, I just had that to look forward to. And yeah, I just got frustrated and unhappy. And I got really like angry, for lack of a better word. Like, I was angry that I was so unhappy. Like,
Yeah.
how could I have let this happen to me? And how could I have let my life spiral so out of control that I didn't even know who I was anymore as a person. So, yeah, it's been a long process being a vet and having to transition from that point, both professionally and also mentally, to get back to a point where I was feeling healthy and well again. So, when I have a really long day that's just tiring, I get home and I'm like, okay, but we're still in a good place. Like, whatever, that day was chaos. I was an hour late to an appointment. I couldn't get the blood. Like, that's okay because I'm still so much happier than where I was, where are we? 20, what year are we? 2020.
Who the hell knows at this point? Like, I think it might be 2025, but I still sometimes get confused.
Just it's definitely 2025. But yeah, it's like, it's a moment where when I have a really bad day, which aren't common, I just still have the thought, at least it's not where I was mentally. And it's so refreshing to actually love my career, as we all should.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so beautiful, that process that you described. Like, you described, like, being, like, deeply dissociated, like,
Mhm.
hardcore compassion fatigued, angry. I think so many of us, including myself, know that feeling so very well, and I think it really speaks to your, like, your character and your knowledge of yourself to be like, "This isn't me." So many of us begin to think it is who we are, and it begins this, like, terrible spiral of, like, self-hatred, and, like, that's how we get into big trouble, right?
Mhm.
But the fact that you had, like, a dear friend that you could just, like, shoot some Jameson with and, like, talk it out and, like, see it for what it was, I'm just, like, so impressed that at that moment you drew a line, you're like, "I don't accept this. This is not me. I
Mhm.
know." And, I mean, it echoes so much of my process, but I think you actually, I mean, I wanna give you so much credit because I think you recognized it way sooner than I did. Like, I was, like, absolutely transformed into, like, a monster version of myself by my surgical residency where, like, I just, like, so dissociated, like, animals weren't animals anymore, they were objects, and they were, like, puppies that I hated as well,
Mhm.
and, like, a TPLO that made me wanna stab my eye out, and it wasn't about animals, it wasn't about, like, loving animals, it wasn't about compassion, it wasn't about, like, even creativity. And, like, what's so interesting, like, I see you, like, post periodically about, I mean, I think you post quite a bit, but, like, with the feed, like, you only see it when it shows up, and then every once in a while I'll go and stalk you, and I'm like, "Look at all this stuff." Like, you're such an animal lover, like, your love of these animals and your, like, really genuine care for them and your interest in them is so front and center, like, I can't even imagine what it would have taken for you to get off track from that. And I just, like, again, be, like, so proud of you that you recognized when it was off that and that that wasn't acceptable to you and that you took action to make a change and create what you've created, which is, like, so beautiful. Like, your practice is, like, you're, like, one of my star students. Like, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm just so proud. Like, it's
Oh,
beautiful
thank you.
what you've built.
Yeah, I really like what you said because one, I take everything like, "Oh, thank you." But the phrase you said, like, how much I care about animals, and it's just, yeah, it really was like that specific point to be like, I've always loved animals. Animals have always been a part of my life. Like, I grew up catching snakes and frogs and bringing them in my pockets, and, like, I grew up surrounded by pets. I grew up, you know, just finding any animal that would come my path, and to get to a point where, yeah, we just see them as, like, not even things, like, they're just objects in front of us that have no value, and as much as I love animals, I still obviously love humans too, and to just not care that this client came in super excited about her new puppy and to just not hear a single word she said. I couldn't even tell you that puppy's name. Like, not that I remember every animal because there are
And I was like, that's impressive if you could.
I remember a lot of the animals' names. The owners' names, like, might be a little, shady, but I remember a lot of animals, but
Yes.
I don't remember what kind of puppy it was. I just was so blacked out from
Yeah.
this life. So, yeah, getting back to loving animals is so important to me. It's such a huge part of me and my life and my story, and I'll actually share I got a new tattoo. How do I do this? So, it's a little bowl with some leaves. Um
A bowl with ginkgo leaves, is that what you said?
mhm.
Beautiful.
All of my, like, animal tattoos have, like, a loose family interpretation, like, they're for someone in my family, and so I got the vole because my brother he's 9 years older than me, and when he was, like, 12-ish and I was, like, 3, he found a vole outside that some neighborhood kids were gonna, like, beat up and hurt, just little vole. So he scooped it up in his hat and brought it inside, and we had it in, like, a cage for just a day or 2 because it was winter in Michigan, so we just kind of wanted it to recuperate inside and then let it go. And so we had it in the house for like 2, 3 days, and he's insistent that the reason I wanted to become a vet is because he brought this vole in and it just sparked my love of animals. So he's insistent that the vole is the reason I so the vole is for him, and then his wife is Japanese and they have 2 daughters, so she loves ginkgo leaves, so it's kind of like their little, like, tie-in, so that's for, like, my brother, his wife, and their 2 daughters, so
That's so beautiful and so meaningful. I love that. I have a little bit of a vole story too. It takes place
Oh,
right outside of the LA Zoo as well, which is a
oh,
beautiful zoo. I like.
yeah.
Have you seen the seal there that they have in the front? That seal, it's like a harbor seal. That seal is so smart and so freaking cute. But
That's
anyway,
no,
what?
at the LA Zoo?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I've go to the zoo just to see that harbor
Mhm.
seal, like, if you put your finger up to the glass, like, the little guy comes up and he moves with you and, like, you go like this and he, like, twirls around and it's like,
Squirrel.
"Oh my god, you are like a genius seal." But anyway, so, like, right outside of the LA Zoo, they have all these amazing food trucks and stands like esquites and elotes and,
Mhm.
like, they're, like, calling out for, like, all this food that they have that's absolutely amazing and, like, little trinkets and things like that, and I was walking around out there just, like, getting some snacks after my zoo adventures with my husband, and he was like, "Shh." And he's really good at, like, IDing, like, little creatures in the wild that you'd think as the vet, I would be the one IDing them, but, like, he's like, "Look at that little guy." There's, like, a little vole that was, like, popping his little head in and out of his hole, and you saw his little, like, whiskeys and, like, he was, like, snatching grass and then going back in and, like,
Right.
up, down, and, like, it was very, very cute, like, cute little thing, and that was a special moment. So that's my vole story.
Bonding over voles.
Bonding over voles. So, okay. So, I would like to hear about squirrels. Like, tell me about, like, the squirrel scenario you've got going on. Like, you have some very special squirrel connection, and then we'll talk about snails after that. Remind me if I forget.
Yeah, I've always loved squirrels. I just think they're fascinating animals. And I personally like mildly identify as a squirrel because I'm like slightly chaotic and like maybe a little unhinged, but it's kind of cute. But is it? Is she kind of psycho? Like, again, yeah.
Not to interrupt you, but I thought this was the moment I had to share this.
Exactly.
Little
So,
psycho. Yeah.
yeah, psycho but cute. Like,
Psycho but cute.
so I had worked at a clinic for about 4 or 5 years after graduating that did a lot with like wildlife. And so I ended up caring for a lot of the wildlife babies. And I don't know if, can I say this on the podcast? I might have had a pet squirrel for a little bit. I know it's not legal. I don't encourage it. I don't encourage people to own wildlife. The squirrels that I see are all from situations where clients found them, didn't know what to do, they were injured. And so I've just always had a lot of squirrel clients. I have one squirrel client who she would always just call me Squirrel Doc. So one day I'm going to put that on my license plate, Squirrel Doc, because I feel like that's me. So once you kind of get into that universe, I feel like the universe just continues to send you more squirrels. So it's out there that I'm see squirrels. And because it is, other squirrel clients talk like, oh, you should go see this vet because they are illegal. And there's kind of that ethically gray zone of what do we do as vets when somebody has an illegal animal? And it's not something I encourage doing because we shouldn't just be going out into the wild and catching squirrels. But the squirrel clients that I see all have stories where I'm like, I get it. You're just doing your best. You landed in this scenario and now you have a sick squirrel. So what are we going to do? So I had followed Derek Downey Jr. on Instagram for a long time, like even before I started my house calls stuff, because his videos are so sweet. Like, he's the sweetest human ever, and just watching this guy care for these little neighborhood squirrels is so inspirational. So when he had posted that Maxine had her tooth injury, I sent him a message on Instagram and I didn't hear back because he has like 1 million followers. So why would he even think to read his messages? And a week went by and I saw a little alert on my phone that said Derek Downey Jr. messaged you. And I was like, I was laying in bed and I was like, and so then I texted my best friend. I was like, Allie, guess what? Derek Downey Jr. just messaged me. And so I opened his message and we chatted back and forth. And that's when, if you've seen his videos, when he brought her down to have her teeth trimmed. So because of that video, he has so many squirrel followers that now have reached out to me because they're like, I see you work with squirrels and we trust you. So here's my squirrel questions. And they're not always in an area that I travel to, or someone wanted to drive from like Arizona to see me. And I was like, no, that's too stressful for your squirrel. Here's some advice, but it's just tricky because I don't know if you heard about that Instagram influencer who had his wildlife all taken away and euthanized. He had a raccoon and a squirrel. Maybe he had two squirrels. I don't know, but he had like two or three wild animals that he ended up with. And I can't remember the full story of why he had them. But again, he didn't just go out in the wild and pick up animals. And so someone reported him, and animal control showed up and they confiscated his animals. And because they weren't releasable, they euthanized them. And so I know it's heartbreaking on so many levels. It's,
Yeah.
it was a guy who clearly took care of these animals very well. He wasn't using them for anything other than showing, these are cool animals that we should respect, which I kind of love Derek for, because his videos are just like, look at these cool little animals and like, look at how fun they are and the personalities they have. And so some of the squirrel people who have messaged me are like, we don't know where to go because we don't trust that nothing's going to happen to them.
Oh my God.
I know, it's so
Oh,
sad. So,
so sad. Like, what a tricky situation. Like, I feel tears like coming up. Like, I might start crying. We'll see. But like, that is just like such a absolutely devastating, heartbreaking situation. And I see like that fine line. It's like not even a fine line. It's like a dangerous scenario for these animals.
Mhm.
And you are their lifeline. Like, who else? Who else is gonna care for them and not fuck them over in some
Yeah,
way, Like, thank God it's you. Thank God we have a squirrel dog. My God. Oh
I
my
have sorts like, my passion is like when somebody messages me with a squirrel, I'm like, well, how can I help in whatever way possible? Because I know that it's always a possibility that they go to the wrong place and they get euthanized. And then what? Because
God.
these are these people's pets and their babies. And, it's where are they going to go? So,
Yeah, thank God for what you're doing. Oh my God, I had no idea. Like, that
yeah,
is so fucking devastating.
you
I
know,
mean, I like, I don't even know where to go from there, but I guess, like, my next question is, like, do squirrel clients pay you? Like, I didn't even realize there were squirrel clients. Like, are they willing and able to pay a mobile veterinarian or a veterinarian for telemedicine or anything? Like,
I'd say
I don't look.
it's 50-50. And I'm really bad about money. Like, I mean, I'm good with money, but I'm bad about like if somebody has a sad story and they're like, I can't afford it. What do I do? I'm like, well, it is what it is. Like, what do you have? And I'll make it work.
Yeah.
And I can't do that with everyone, but especially when it comes to like wildlife and squirrels, I'm like, that's okay. You know what? Like, that's all right. It's my good deed, my good karma back out into the universe. And I say that for like a few different reasons. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen before where people can't afford things and then just jump to euthanasia with like no thought in between, because I really do understand about money. Like,
Yeah.
things happen, you lose a job, things are expensive. I get it. And when somebody is just like, well, I don't have the money, I don't care. That's when I'm like, no. That's when I go into crazy squirrel mode. Like, no, I don't. But like if somebody comes in and is like sobbing because they don't have the money, like, of course I'll help. But that's because we're veterinarians who have open hearts and want to do absolutely everything we can. And I think a lot of us would probably be more willing to help if owners just cried and had a little kindness or empathy. I think what hurts us the most is when we see a lack of that and blaming, when clients turn to like, well, how could you charge that much? Like, you should be doing this for free. And it's like, I do what I can for free. I do. I do so much. But at the end of the day, we can't do everything for free. And we can't save everything. We can't save everyone. We can only save what we can while maintaining our own mental health and stability.
Beautifully said. That is so well said. I think there's a time and a place for pro bono work, like just doing something because you want to. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think all vets that I know do some aspect of that. It may look different, like person's triggered to be like, okay, like melt and just like do the thing for free. whether it's like a $5,000 surgery or some other $10,000 surgery or whatever. But I think wildlife, and especially like with this like beautiful soft spot that you have for squirrels and like the alternative, like it's so sinister and so awful that, I mean, I don't think you're bad with money at all. Like I've seen you work and like, I mean, you corrected yourself,
Yeah.
thankfully, but like that's not even an issue of being good or bad with money. It's a matter of like, in my perspective, sort of like knowing who you are and putting your values first at times when you have the option to do so. Like you said, none of us can discount all the time. Like we can't solve the world. Like we're just one person and we have to be able to support ourselves. We have to bring in an income and we have to not become resentful of our work. We have to be able to sustain. That's financially linked, right? It's got to be. It's got to be. We have to live lives too. Like we're in a world where you have to have a job, you have to have money to live a life and to show up in the best way as possible, which is very important for people like us who are literally saving squirrel lives, right? I think that's highly respectable and very moving, and I'm really glad to hear it. Like that's not something to be embarrassed or ashamed about. I think it's actually very, very beautiful to the level that you feel comfortable to provide that work without charging or decreasing the price. So I think that's very human and lovely.
Yeah, and that was another reason why becoming my own boss and switching to house calls is important because I get to make the decisions like, okay, let me look at the bills, like we'll allow this one or not letting people just take advantage and like continuing to just give everything away. But being able to decide when I can is really important as a business owner because I can't remember the phrasing you said, but not becoming like resentful of that and not becoming like resentful of giving things away because we feel taken advantage for our kindness. So being able to make that decision on my own was another big reason why I was like, I got to do my own thing.
Absolutely. That it's the agency that you choose. You choose when, where, what scenarios, what animals to help. We're all going to do it. We're all going to give. We're all have huge hearts. Like that's why we're veterinarians. But like also, as you said, I think that's really an important point that you made that like, I've kind of like recently been leaning into some more like emotional processing and understanding it from kind of like somatic perspectives and things like that. And when you have anger or lashing out or blame or generally like hurtful behaviors towards other people, it's usually that under that is something more tender, like sadness, fear, self-doubt, guilt, like something that's like too tender to display for the world to see exactly what it is. And it gets covered in this very hurtful behavior, anger, lashing out, blaming, and like almost scapegoating anyone but yourself because it's too painful to hold your own guilt or too painful to hold your own sadness. But when people bring that like really authentic, like what is really under the surface, like tears, like their body, they're somatically like actually processing what's there instead of using us as a punching thing, which tends to happen. When people show up as their real authentic selves in honesty and like, I can't afford this, I'm very sad. I don't know what to do, I'm scared. And they bring that genuine, deep, true communication of what's happening. Yeah, like 9 times out of 10, we're gonna bend the fuck over backwards to fix this for you, even if it is not something that is our responsibility to do. Like, I wish I could just like megaphone that to every animal who's ever been to a vet or whoever will go to a vet.
Yeah. And I wish I could megaphone that to vets as well because you get to a place where you're so burnt out and you're just mad at everyone and, you know, realizing the true authentic clients who are coming to you and needing your help versus like not just putting everyone in that like crappy client mode of like, well, everyone sucks and everything everyone says is garbage. And it's like, it's important for us to also recognize that and also bring our true selves forward. And it's hard. It sucks. It's hard to like be yourself and it's hard to put yourself out there, especially when you're not 100% and when you're having, emotions, which guess what? As humans, we all have emotions, but
Turns out.
I don't. I just suppress that.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's hard. It's really hard to do that and recognize it and understand when you're not making that connection with people anymore. And I feel like a lot of my story always comes back to just me talking about compassion fatigue and burnout and recognizing it because it's so important. And it's so important for other vets to hear, like, hey, you might be burned out if you hate a puppy or you hate clients or you hate genuine clients who really need your help. And I think just talking about it is so important because so much of what we do is just attacked on, especially social media in particular. Like, so much of what we do is just attacked and like blamed and just spoken negatively of, when what we do is really fucking cool. Like, we have a really cool job. Like, we have a job that kids aspire to do. So we should be like, I sound like I'm so full of myself, but like, no, like veterinarians are so important. Like, we should be talked about more, and like we should be seen in such a positive light. And instead we have all this negativity around us around not caring, which I don't know about you. I've never met a vet who doesn't care. Not caring about the money. We're only helping animals. Like, no, we're helping you too, dummies. Like, we're helping people. Like, we love people. Most of us love people too. It's just we get to a point where we have been so burned that we say like, oh, I hate people. Like, no, you probably are just, you're burnt out.
Yeah. Burnt out, compassion fatigued. And
Mhm.
I just kind of wanted to circle back again to the issue that so many of us are in that state, but don't know it.
Mhm.
Like the fact that you were like, here are the warning signs. I hate puppies. Like,
Yeah.
we don't all know that. We're just like,
Yes.
something's changing and I don't like what I used to like. Maybe I don't like puppies. I'm just not into puppies anymore. It's like, no, 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 no. This is the core of you. Something's happened to it.
Mhm.
It's not that this is not, no, you
Yeah.
know. So I think that kind of line of reasoning and thinking and being able to recognize like straight up symptoms of this, which is, and it's an erosion of our authentic selves
Mhm.
get to that point, and that doesn't serve anyone. I
Mhm.
think this is such an important subject. I'm loving the depth that we're getting into. Hey there, it's Eve Harrison. There's a question that I get from veterinarians all the time. How do you do concierge practice in your house call vet practice? Another question I get is, what is concierge practice? So the term concierge definitely gets thrown around in a lot of ways that are different from what I mean. But for me, I'm a house call vet, but as a sub mini micro niche within house call vet practice, I specifically have a concierge practice. So, among other features, concierge practice functions as a membership container, but that's not the only thing that makes concierge concierge. What concierge practice really means for me is that I run a thriving, fully self sustaining house call practice where I see way fewer patients. I earn income that is way more aligned with my actual effort, my skills, and the super thoughtful heart and soul that I put into my work. And the best part for me is that my client base is perfectly curated. I legitimately love every one of my clients and patients. And as a result of me not being burnt out or resentful and feeling secure in my income and the energetic exchanges occurring between us, everyone involved receives the thoughtful, comprehensive care that they deserve, including me. And I actually have time and energy left to be my whole self rather than being defined by my career only. My Concierge Vet Mastermind program gives you everything you need to build a sustainable practice that honors both your calling as a vet and your ability to live a balanced, fulfilled life. In just 6 months, I will personally guide you through my Compassionate Concierge method with exclusive on-demand training, along with private coaching and direct text access to me as though you were a member of my actual concierge practice. So you get to feel what it's like to be a client in my own concierge practice. You'll learn exactly how to structure, price, and market your services while skillfully and compassionately honoring your own boundaries. Plus, you'll join a super intimate community of like-minded veterinarians who are transforming their practices right alongside you. Do you want to learn a little bit more about what concierge vet practice is and if it's a good match for your goals before you commit? If so, check out my free Concierge Vet Starter Kit. Both links are in the show notes for you. Welcome to VetMed's best kept secret, and I'm sharing it all with you. I can't wait to see you inside. I'm going to do a little bit of a hard pivot, speaking of how cool being a vet is. And cool creatures like snails. So I have a little bit of a story. I like didn't even plan this in advance, but as we've been talking, like I have to tell you about a snail. So I
Oh,
was
snails. They're so cute. Why are they cute? I don't know. They just
I
are.
I don't know, but it's an actual thing. It's like frogs are adorable, snails are adorable. Like this is like universally held truth, even though they're both like slimy, they're both weird, but that's part of why they're cute, right? Like weird helps with cuteness in my book. I think probably you're the same, right? You like weird.
Yes, I love it.
So I was hiking and I found this beautiful snail shell. And I was like, wow, this snail shell is like perfect. This is a beautiful snail shell. And I picked it up along with two others that I found that were like very beautiful, just like decorative. Like I like to collect things in nature. I'm like, that's a beautiful
Yeah.
piece. Or like, look at the sage plant. I'm going to dry this and just like have it hanging. Or like that mushroom, I'll have that. And, get to mushrooms, like that's a whole other can of worms. But so I picked it.
Worms. I have worm earrings on because I also love worms. Worms are also in that like cute category of like cute and slimy.
That's so cute. You have worm earrings. Oh my God, I love it. Those are adorable. So for those of you guys who are not watching the YouTube version of this, you guys have to watch the YouTube version because both of us have awesome earrings that you need to see. Worm and hedgehog and a freehole. Our earrings alone are enough for you to find the YouTube video version watching. So, okay, so I get home, like I had put all three snail shells into my husband's backpack in like a little pouch that holds like water or whatever. And I get home and I'm unpacking all my stuff. Like I'm like, oh, it's a turkey tail mushroom I found. Look at this. It's like this beautiful like oak leaf that had turned colors. And I'm like, my snail shells, these are beautiful. And I look at the two of them and I'm like, oh, this shell's cracked. Oh, well, I put it down. Look at the other one. I'm like, oh, this isn't interesting. And I look at the third one and I'm like, motherfucker is alive in there. Oh my God. Oh no. Like snails are hermaphrodites. So she was in the shell, like, holed up, nice like layer of snail mucus, like sealing things off. But I was like, ooh, oh shit. And I'm like 2 hours away from where I got this little one. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, so I just like poured some water and little guy came out and then I made it a little terrarium, fed it blueberry, like some strawberry greens, which little thing like didn't care for the blueberry. And I actually tried to like return the snail to like there's sort of like a little gardeny area downstairs in my building, which has snails. I've seen snails there before. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, I know snails can thrive here and it's probably a garden snail. I'm not really clear on all the types, but I'm like, I think it's generally the same category of snail. And I put the little fellow in a mason jar on the side to let him slither away. And like a few hours later, I came back and I was like, hasn't slithered away, but up in my apartment, she had been moving around, exploring, eating. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe this isn't right. Maybe I should keep the snail. So I took the snail back upstairs, like got a proper terrarium, and I now have a pet snail. And her name is Margarita or Margarita X because I don't know if it's male or female, or it's both. It's actually both. But so I have this like pet snail that I am just like kind of excited to tell you about. And like, you want to know what's like even cuter than snails?
Roly polies.
Maybe, but what I was gonna say was snails eating lettuce.
Oh
Snails
my
eat
gosh, it's so cute.
they're
It's
little
bunches. Yeah, I love it.
like you can see like so when the snail is like up against the glass, you can see its like little mouth like munching on it's like a little oh my God, it's like, is this really what I'm seeing? Like this is beyond adorable. And then I was feeding it like salad for a while, which had like the tiny little carrot sticks, tiny. And I watched the snail devour a carrot stick over 10 minutes and I videoed one of them and I made a time lapse and you see the snail like scarfing this like tiny little snail stick and it like you see it like going into its little mouth hole. Like it's the funniest thing. Have you ever worked on snails or have you ever worked with snails in any capacity or mollusks of any kind?
I think that's probably one of the few creatures I have not worked on. And I worked on a lot of things. I had worked on a butterfly one time because somebody had brought in a butterfly whose wing was like a little crooked. So I used some paper tape to like fix it, and it lived for like a day. But that's really, they don't live that long. So no, I've worked on a lot of things, but I don't think I've worked on a snail. I would. There's,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, if anything ever
yeah.
happens to my snail, I will call you. I did learn that there was like a tiny little like crack in the shell. Like I did it myself. Oh my God, I'm about to admit something terrible. Like, oh, okay, the world's about to hear my confession session. So the snail had like some like debris on it, and I was like using a tiny little Q-tip to like wipe it off. I was like, you're such a like perfect little snail. Like you don't need to have that watch of whatever it is. So I'm like gently wiping with a Q-tip, and the Q-tip sort of like went into the shell a little bit, and I'm like, oh my God. So it like it didn't poke all the way through. Yeah. Terrible, right? Terrible.
Oh no, it happens, but I would be freaking out. I would
It
cry.
was freaked the fuck out, and I did cry. I was like, oh my God, I killed the snail. No. And then I like did all this research, and my vet tech, who's actually in North Carolina, she was like, oh my God, Eve, I just read this book that's called The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating. And it's nonfiction, but it's also like a narrative. It's very, very interesting. And she sent me a copy of it, and I found out that snails can eat eggshells and that there probably was a bit of a calcium deficiency. So like I've been doing some snail nutrition. Snail loves eggshells. Snail loves carrots. Loves like dark leafy greens, doesn't care much for like iceberg lettuce or like butter lettuce. Gotta be like dark, you know what I mean? Not doesn't care for fruits, but didn't even care for. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm taking over this podcast
No,
right now.
okay, I love
I
this
have a
thing so much. I love,
captive audience that I know is going to care about this.
yes. I think this is probably something where you're like, I can't tell too many people this much about a snail, but you can tell me this much about a snail 'cause I'm obsessed.
I feel it. I feel the love. Oh my God. So I did one time, like the first day I cut up, like I sliced up like a button mushroom, like I just had in the fridge, and Snail didn't care for that either. But I was like, oh my God, I went on a mushrooming expedition, and I found some of the big Amanita muscarias that like everyone who listens to my podcast knows what this is by now, but it's like the big with like the red, you know, and the white polka dots, and like, like they're not technically magic mushrooms, but they're whatever of as magic mushrooms. Like, yeah, so you know, Amanita muscaria. And like I found a place that was like had millions of them, and like also another confession session. I picked one. It was like this big, huge, huge.
Oh, that's cool though. How do you not? I mean, we shouldn't. We shouldn't. But
We
how,
should.
how do you
Yeah,
not?
I mean, there were hundreds of them, so I was like, okay, I'll take one, and it's for a good reason. It's for my snail, and snails are supposed to like these mushrooms, and like all of the mushrooms had little like holes from slugs that had been in there, and you know, all the folklore you see mushrooms with snails on top of them. So there's the synergy for sure. And I brought this giant mushroom and put it in the snail terrarium. Snail didn't touch it for 2 days. Things started getting a little rotten. And then I saw the snail start to like burrow it, and little guy, you know, ate one hole through, and then the mushroom was so rotten I had to get rid of it. I was like, that's enough for you. But I was like, why didn't you just like jump it? I thought this whole mushroom would have been gone in 3 days. So that's my funny snail and mushroom story.
No, I like watching my roly polies eat. So I get you when you're like watching them eat and you're like, why is this so cute? But it's so cute. Like I give them like little carrot shreds, and they also eat some like leaf litter. But for the most part, I give them carrot shreds, and just like watching them like slowly eat away at it. It's like, this is so silly. Like people must listen to this and think like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, who cares? There's snails and roly polies, but it's really cute. It's really cute.
It's so cute, and it's also like perspective. It's like all this crazy shit's going on in the world, but this snail, this roly-poly, all it cares about is finishing this mushroom, this like carrot shred. And like you kind of go into flow state watching something like that, right? Like you're like in a trance, and like they're healing.
It's almost like ASMR, like just that like quiet calm of like, okay. The brain can stop a little bit because all my brain squirrels have calmed down because they're all focused on this one little moment in time.
I love it. Oh my God. Oh, I feel like I could talk to you for ages. I want to shift gears again a little bit, and kind of before we bring the conversation into a close, I want to talk a little bit more about your decision tree when you started your practice. I know we've talked about this before, and I'm really interested to hear what you have to say because I know a lot of veterinarians who are about to make the jump into mobile have this question. And we had talked a little bit about your decision whether to do house calls or to invest in a giant truck and get the whole decked out thing. And I know a lot of people who do exotics and species feel called to be able to do it all and have the surgery mobile and the $250,000 investment into something of that nature. Can you speak to me a little bit about your decision-making process around that?
Definitely. And I feel like I see that get asked a lot where people are just starting and are asking, do we go all in or not? And part of why I didn't was I couldn't get a loan. So at that point, I had bought my condo. And so between the condo and student loans, nobody wanted to give me another loan for a giant vehicle. And I struggled because I couldn't get a loan from like the typical veterinary clinic buying field because they're like, well, it's not a clinic. And you couldn't get a loan from like the auto field because it's like, well, it's not just an automobile, it's a clinic. And I am like 2000% times thankful that I did not go that route because, man, as overwhelming as it was to start a business, I can't imagine starting a business with any amount of debt. And like, obviously, there was some amount to buying some things. I had to open a bank account and put some money in the bank account. Like, there is some amount of money you have to spend to start the business. But having that extra payment every single month just starting out, I don't know if I would have been able to keep up with it. Like, I'm very financially anxious and that my brain is always thinking like, okay, well, what if your house explodes and your car explodes and both your dogs need back surgery and you need more back surgery and your parents need back surgery? Like, my brain is always like, what if everything falls apart? What are we going to do then? And so to have that added layer of stress, like, man, I'm so glad I didn't go that route. I really am. I'm very grateful because I have worked up enough to carry the things I need to carry and to pretty much be able to do all the things I need to do without having it. And I tell everybody, obviously, I don't do any surgeries really anymore because I don't have that capability. But I also did luck into a nice and I guess somewhat unique scenario in that the clinic that I utilized to trim Maxine's teeth, it was just random luck of me going into this clinic that is, I don't know, it's like a mile from my home. But anyway, when I had just started, I was just passing out business cards to any vet clinic that was like, hey, if you have clients who need house calls, here you go. So I randomly walked into this clinic and the vet was there and we just were chatting about everything. And basically by the end of the conversation, he's like, well, here's keys to my clinic in case you ever need it. And I was like, I don't even know you. Like, thank you, but I don't know you, sir. Like, are you sure? So since then, I mean, that was right after I opened. So I'm there usually like, I don't know, once a week, every other week, because I'll sometimes have to borrow things because I don't carry every single medication or I'm really bad about inventory and that's a lot of things. So I was just there borrowing a vaccine. So thankfully, he lets me use this clinic if I need to take x-rays on exotics. And I don't really take x-rays on dogs and cats anymore because you really do need at least one or two people to help restrain. But compared to dragon, you set it on the table and you take an x-ray. So I did really look out in that department and just finding a vet who was like, here's keys to a clinic, use it whenever. So I have found that you can make it work. And if you don't offer x-rays for the first year of your practice, you don't offer x-rays for the first year of your practice. You can still pretty much do all the things you need to do in home without having absolutely everything state of the art, ultrasound surgery, x-ray, absolutely everything. You can still do a lot with an exam. You can do fecals, blood work. If you need urinalyses, you can, but I would definitely caution any new house call vet from a huge investment because you don't know what the future brings. And I feel like I've seen a house call vet or two that just really struggled with finding the clients. And then what do you do if you have that extra payment? So I would never, I guess, never say never, but I would tell most house call vets don't make the big investment just yet. You can always change that later on. You can always add more, but if you start big, you can't go smaller.
Yeah, well said. I remember very well our conversation about that very thing. And I'm so glad that it worked out for you. That what a wonderful colleague to share his space with you. I'm so curious if you would be willing to share a little bit about your experiences in the House Call Vet Academy. And then after that, if you had any advice or tips that you'd like to share with anyone else who may be getting started in house call practice or specifically even like exotics. And we'll have to have you back for another episode where we hear more about the zoo stuff that you do.
Yeah.
Cool too.
Yeah, that's been fun. I definitely come back. And the House Call Vet Academy is everything. Like anytime I see anyone think about like, I'm interested, it's like, you got to take it. It's just so well thought out and put together. And I can just tell how much time and energy and like how much of your soul is in that. And I feel like that's you. That's like you as a person is like, here's all the things I've done and I want to give this to you so you don't have to do it. And it's like, that's amazing because that really is helping people. Like that's helping vets become their better selves by all of your bad experiences and good experiences. And for you to just say, here you go. Like this is a very small community. Like the veterinary field is very small, and especially when it comes to house calls, it's even smaller. And sometimes gatekeeping, I feel like, happens in a lot of small fields where it's like, well, I did all this work. Like you can do it too. And it's like, you're just like, nope, here you go. Please enjoy. And I wouldn't be the happy, sane, well, relatively sane person I am today without it because I like going into a new field. You don't know what you don't know. Like you are so unequipped to know all of the things that you should be doing and thinking about and buying and preparing for and learning about. And the House Called Vet Academy just lays it out step by step. Like, here you go. You can take it in any order you want. You can do as much or as little with it as you want. And it's just absolutely everything. Like so many things I didn't even think about that I was like, oh yeah, I guess you got to worry about that, huh? Or well, yeah, I guess I got to carry medications now. Like, what do I do? Where do I store it? Like, oh, yeah, I guess I have to have controlled drugs in my home. What do I do with that? And it's just things you don't think about because why would I have ever thought about that? So for me, I know 100% I would not be here without it. I would either be working in a Starbucks or probably just doing relief work. And it's been such an amazing community and so inspirational because I feel like I say this a lot that sometimes vets are mean. Like sometimes we're all judgy and like,
Oh yeah.
I don't like that. And like we should be supporting each other, especially given how much burnout we get and how much, negativity we receive. And this should be the one place we feel safe. And I feel like so many times it's not. And so to have this like little niche where it's just a bunch of people just saying like, yeah, you can do this. And like, sometimes we just need that. Sometimes we just need someone in our corner saying, you got this, you can do this. Or here's where you go if you don't know what to do. Or let's all work together to figure out how we do this. And so it's not just all the like things about like, here's how you get a business license. It's all the people saying, you got this because your business license will come through, even if it's delayed, or, don't mess up with your DEA stuff. Cause I am always freaking out about controlled drugs and DEA things. And it's like everyone just saying, you can do this is so, so important. And it's probably one of the like really few places I feel very safe as a vet. Like talking with other vets about things, sometimes I'm like, are you going to judge me if I say this? And like, this is definitely the most open, comfortable environment to be in. So it's very helpful.
Wow, thank you. That's such a beautiful summary of your experiences. And I've loved having you in the program. It's been absolutely a joy. Also, you are the very first person who got their House Call Vet Academy certification. So you're the first one. You're the first one. Yeah, so you'll always be special to me for that reason at a minimum. But like you're my very first certified House Call Vet Academy person. Like
I feel really good right now.
yeah, you should. But anyway, like I wanted to say that, like circling back, like vets can be mean, hurt people, and we're all so hurting and compassion fatigued and burned
Mhm.
out. We take it out on each other, just like our clients do to
Yeah.
us too. And it's like such a big mind fuck that, like part of the reason that I felt like I had to step off the matrix was our professional community just had been treated like such trash. Like, particularly in my surgical residency, I just like was at the lowest of the low and I became not who I even wanted to be as a result. But it showed me a side of the profession, particularly in the specialist world,
Well,
in the, ivory tower medicine scenario, that just really, this is not going to work for me. And I'm going to have to do this. I was right there where you were, just completely burnt out. Either the plan is like work for Starbucks, teach
yeah.
yoga full time, or like try this like house call thing. And,
Yeah.
hey, right, it worked out. And I also just like, I'm so like honored that you said kind of earlier when you were talking about how this helps people live their best life. That's the greatest honor to me because yes, I'm teaching like the nitty gritty, like how to get the business license, so, what you need for this step, what you need for that step, how to order this, like all the logistics under everything that I ever do. My goal is much deeper, which is to bring out like the best version of everyone, like the most self-actualized version of the person. If even after a person takes my trainings and they're like, you know what? I actually don't want to be a house call vet. I want to be a yoga teacher. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, that's amazing. And that's actually happened. So like I was like, that is the greatest outcome I could ever dream of. Like, you found what it was that you were meant to do. And like, I see that so much in you. Like, your practice is so unique and it's so self expressed and so authentically you. Like, the quirkiness, the aesthetic of it. Like, I can feel your love for these animals. And to me, like, knowing where you started and where you are now, like, one of the greatest joys of my life. So it's been really beautiful to witness that. And I'm so proud of you. And on that note, I wanted to see, do you have any advice for anyone else who might be getting started with house call practice before we close up the episode?
Sure. Yeah. I guess my advice would be just, I guess if you're at a point where you're not sure whether to try it or not, just try it. What's the worst case? The worst case is you hate it and you move on and you do something else. But just try it because, especially if you're doing it because you're coming from an unhappy place, like you need to find your niche in this community. And whether it's house calls or not, you need to find that spot and just try it. Give it a month. Set yourself a time limit and say at the end of 3 to 6 months, if I hate this, I'll do something else. But do it and don't be afraid to ask for help because I feel like so many of the questions that I have or I have had, I see asked again and again because we're all going through the same process. So don't be afraid to ask, especially in the house call community, because I feel like we tend to be a little less judgy. I'm sure there's some judgy house call vets out there, but I feel like for the most part, I feel like this community is pretty supportive. And so asking the questions that you have, we probably had that exact same question. So don't be afraid and don't feel like you've shut yourself off from the world because it can be a little isolating doing house calls because not all of us have an assistant. So, like me, I just driving around by myself. Sometimes you feel like you're in your own little cube and can't talk to anyone else. So, it's important to ask other vets about the questions that you have because we've probably had them too. And if not, it's something we can learn from.
Mhm. Beautifully said. Thank you so much for that insight. And now, since we are in the House Call Vet Cafe, can I take your order? What drink would you like to order? You can choose a non-alcoholic and an alcoholic.
Well, I really, right now, I've cut down on my caffeine consumption. So I'm kind of just sticking to like yerba mate, which I know is like very highly caffeinated tea, but it's not better than my Red Bulls. So typically I drink a yerba mate in the morning. And then at the end of the day, I like to have a nice old fashioned.
Oh, fantastic. I was like, is it going to be Jameson again? Like, that's amazing.
The story of my life starts and ends with a nice old fashioned. Love it.
Oh, this has been such a delightful conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Moore, for being with me today. Thank you for building the practice that you did. Thank you for your referrals. Thank you for everything. Like, thank you for your worm earrings. Like, I'm just feeling so like inspired and uplifted right now, and I'm really excited for our next conversation.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. Thank you for having me. And thank you for being you and doing all that you do for us vets who are trying to find our place in the world and just us people knowing that you can be a vet, but you also need to be your human self outside of that, and just reminding everyone that you do you, and just be a happy, best version of you.
Fantastic. All right, my friend, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the House Call Vet Cafe. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe or follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never have to miss an episode. This podcast is made specifically for you, so don't be shy if you'd like to reach out and let me know your thoughts on this episode. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as The House Call Vet Academy, where I also share more valuable content. If you're interested in learning more about consulting for House Call Vets or the House Call Vet Academy online course and community, please click on the link in the show notes. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I can't wait for you to join us for our next episode of the House Call Vet Cafe.